Jude Bellingham has to start for England in the World Cup.
But I think when Luke Shaw is on form, there's no day to base it. For me, he's one of the best left-backs in the world.
So for him to go to the World Cup and not play for England, I think would be very, very surprising.
An all-round, complete winger in Bukayo Saka, who's in form, who's feeling good, and who could bring so much to this England team.
He might play for Man City, but he's an England player and he's class. Phil Foden's the truth, man.
We'll have a player who's in the form of his life, is technically excellent, and is playing for the joint best defence in the league. This is an absolute no-brainer.
Now, I know you're going to be absolutely fuming at this, but stick with Harry Maguire.
Trent is a brilliant right back all round. He's a generational talent.
Without his goals, we won't really get anywhere in this tournament. We need Kane to be firing.
Up the England, up the three lines. It's coming on.
Come on, England.
Hello and welcome to a special World Cup edition of Fan Zone. And in this episode, the good folks over at FansBet have been asking fans from up and down the country who would be in their combined England starting 11 this World Cup. So guys, without any further ado, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it.
So the World Cup squad is out. I think pretty much all positions are up for debate. I'm looking at goalkeepers, and Gareth Southgate has called up Jordan Pickford, Nick Pope, and Aaron Ramsdale. Now, historically, Gareth Southgate has gone with Jordan Pickford and used him in previous tournaments. And obviously, England have gone on to do quite well. We've had a semi-final in the last World Cup, a final in the most recent Euros. And although England's form hasn't been too great as of yet, I'm sure they'll want to, go quite far again. But for me, I think out of those three, it's got to be Aaron Ramsdale. Pickford is towards the foot of the table. Nick Pope and Newcastle, to be fair, are doing quite well. But Aaron Ramsdale, statistically, has been the best goalkeeper in terms of clean sheets this season. Arsenal is top of the league and doing really well at the top end of the Premier League. So for him to go to the World Cup and not play for England, I think would be very, very surprising. I think he deserves it on current form. I think he deserves it with how well Arsenal are doing. So for me, out of those three, even if I had to rank them, Aaron Ramsdale would be number one. I think Nick Pope for me is number two, and Jordan Pickford would be down there in number three. I don't think Pickford's a horrific goalkeeper, but just purely based on club form and quality of goalkeeper in recent times, Aaron Ramsdale has got to be England's number one at the World Cup.
I've been selected to pick the right back for this England team. Now, everybody will think that I'm going to go for Trent because he's a Liverpool player. And if you are under that impression, then you are 100% right. No. Do you know what? I do get why people think that Trent shouldn't play when you compare him to Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier. And the reason is they are better defensively than him. There's no bones about it. There's no point in lying and not telling any truth just because he's a Liverpool player. They are better than him defensively. What I will say though is that Trent offers so much going forward, and his defensive abilities are not bad. Remember, this is a player. I just want to remind everybody, this is a player that's won every trophy available in the last 5 years. He's played in all of the finals, apart from the League Cup final, which is the least important one anyway. And he's performed brilliantly in all of those final victories. I don't really understand this weird narrative that's gone around now that because he's been in a bit of bad form, that he can't defend and he's a liability. It's all rubbish. It's just agenda driven. And it really does my head in. Trent is a brilliant right back all round. He's a generational talent. And I think what he gives you going forward is just so good that how can you not play him because he's maybe not as good defensively as one of the other two. So I'm putting Trent at right back, and that's based off of you actually allowing him to do what he does best and thinking about the positives rather than the negatives, what he brings going forward. And believe me, he is a good defender. He's just in bad form. Can we differentiate the difference between them, please? So Trent Alexander is my pick at right back, but I do have a lot of respect for Trippier and Kyle Walker. I think they're both brilliant players in their own right.
What's happening, everyone? Nicky Hawkins, West Ham Fan TV, picking a player in my England side. Now, I know you're going to be absolutely fuming at this, but stick with Harry Maguire. I know Stones has had a up and down season. I know White's had a good season, but he's been playing at right back. Listen, Manchester United have ruined one of the best players in the whole wide world. When Maguire plays for England, he plays well. I know he didn't play that well in the last 2 games, but stick with Harry Maguire. And you won't go much wrong. You know what you're going to get with Maguire. He's never get Southgate down, so stick with him. You know, don't be too harsh on his club form or his club. Stick with Harry Maguire and we'll be all right. Maguire at centre-back.
Ben White should absolutely be one of England's starting centre-backs at this year's World Cup. Now, he's been playing right back most of the season for Arsenal, but Arsenal have the best defence in the league as well as Newcastle. He's been performing out of his skin. Now, the reason I really like Ben White in this position is because if we are going to play a back four, there's been lots of criticism that England's defenders aren't quite good enough. But if we can play higher up the pitch and allow less pressure to be put on the centre-backs, in many ways, like Pep Guardiola does, like Jurgen Klopp has done, like Mikel Arteta's getting loads of joy with Arsenal this season, like Eddie Howe is doing with Newcastle out of a bunch of championship defenders apparently, then that could be a really smart way forward to take the pressure off the back four. And then you need certain types of centre-backs to do that. Ben White is one of those. He's aggressive, he's quick, he loves being on the ball, and he's a great distributor of the ball as well. We'll have a player who's in the form of his life, is technically excellent, and is playing for the joint best defence in the league. This is an absolute no-brainer.
Hello, my name is Seb from the Blue Monday podcast, and the player I would have starting in central defence for England in the World Cup, without a shadow of a doubt, would be John Stones. Stones offers something that I don't think the other central defenders in the squad can do, in that he's so comfortable receiving the ball to feet. His passing range allows him to link play with the midfield effortlessly, the other players around him, and obviously the fullbacks looking to bomb on. He can also look to move up the pitch and get England advanced, and that's the kind of football we know Southgate's going to like to play. He's going to want patient build-up before he looks to really hurt teams with the forward options we've got up front. He has a bit of versatility as well. He was playing right back for Man City just before the tournament started, and he can lend himself to either a back three or a back four formation effortlessly, given how he's played at previous tournaments. We know in the past how much England can struggle to hold the ball, especially when they're defending a lead against one of the so-called bigger boys. So I think having a player who's comfortable in possession, comfortable with the ball at his feet is so crucial. He also adds a bit of a goal threat as well. I remember a couple of goals from him in the 2018 World Cup. And let's not forget he was part of that excellent defence at the Euros last summer, where they only conceded the 2 goals, the one against Denmark in the semi-final and Italy's equaliser in the final. For me, he'd probably be one of the first names on the team sheet after the obvious ones, and I think his qualities will lend itself to England having a really successful tournament. Come on, England!
Now for England's World Cup squad, I'm going to go for Luke Shaw at left back / left wing back, so I think he can do either. I think Luke Shaw, you can see physically, he's lost a lot of weight. I think he's really trimmed down. He's looking the fittest he has looked for a long time since obviously Ten Hag has come in. And I think as a result of that, his form has improved as well. I think Malacia coming in really pushed him for his place at United. And yeah, I just feel like last few months or so, Luke Shaw, he's added a few assists, a few goals to his game as well, which is brilliant. And I think that was always an underrated quality of Luke Shaw that we never really realised. Like, I think his crossing ability is very good as well. And defensively, I think he's pretty solid. So I think Luke Shaw is the perfect option, like I say, for left back or left wing back. And I think, obviously, in the Euros and stuff as well, he scored in the Euro final. I think for England as well lately, he's been very good and reliable. And that's why, for me, he deserves that left back spot. Luke Shaw is a player that I've always liked. I think he had that bad injury and I felt really sorry for him. He really struggled to get back. I know a lot of people question his mentality and stuff like that. But I think when Luke Shaw is on form, there's no doubt about it. For me, he's one of the best left backs in the world. And I know a lot of people are frowning when I say that, but I genuinely think he has got every attribute. He's strong, powerful, he's quicker than he seems. Like I say, good defensively, and now he's starting to add in those assists going forward as well. Which is why, for me, Luke Shaw deserves that starting spot. And whether it's left back or left wing back, like I say, I feel like he's adequate to do both roles. And so yeah, Luke Shaw, for me, gets in that starting 11. Come on, England, let's go.
A lot of big decisions to be made on this England team, but I think what's for certain is in that key area of central midfield, Declan Rice has to start. We've got to keep him fit. We haven't got a player like him. I think Calvin Phillips has been brought into the squad in case of Declan Rice getting injured, because we haven't got that sort of player that sits deep, can, be that kind of shield in front of the defence, whether that be 3 centre-halves or 2. He can drive forward with the ball, deep line playmaker, makes everything tick, being absolutely flawless in an England shirt as well as a West Ham shirt. So Declan Rice for me is one of the nailed on positions in this starting 11. So Declan Rice just has to play. He has to play, and we need Declan Rice performing to have any chance of going to the latter stages of this tournament. Declan Rice, you're in, 100% in. And yeah, I think if we can get a good Declan Rice, then we'll be great for it. We'll be so much better for it, because if he doesn't perform or he gets injured, then I really think we don't have a natural like for like that can do that and do that role as effectively as Dec. So yeah, Declan Rice for me, bang in central midfield. As I say, probably sit a little bit deeper than whoever his partner is. Up the England, up the 3 lines. It's coming home.
So guys, I've got to go with Jude Bellingham. Look, the guy's on the tip of everyone's tongue. Everyone believes he's going to be moving on from Borussia Dortmund in the summer. And let's be honest, the guy is a captain for his club in his teenage years. He played football with a maturity well beyond his years. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He can defend, he can attack, he can score goals, he can assist, he's strong in the tackle, and he's just brilliant as a footballer. How can he not start this World Cup? He's superb. Obviously, being a Liverpool fan, I'm hoping, the player that we get in the summer is Jude Bellingham. But look, even if we don't, he's a player you have to admire. And he's a current club captain now, and I wouldn't bet against him to become future England captain. But long and short of it, Jude Bellingham has to start for England in the World Cup.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Bukayo Saka, for me, has got to be in England's starting lineup. He's been the best right winger, the best English right winger in the division for quite some time. I know people last season were talking about Jared Bowen as him potentially being someone that was more productive than Bukayo Saka. But when you look at the consistency over the last couple of seasons from such a young player who's learned so much as well, working under Mikel Arteta, working now with Gabriel Jesus, week in, week out. He's an important part of Arsenal's attack, and Arsenal are sitting pretty at the top of the Premier League. So how could he not be good enough to start for England? He's one of the first names on the team sheet for me because he gives you so much going forward. He's an excellent carrier of the ball, brilliant dribbler, chips in with his fair share of goals as well. But perhaps more importantly than that, Bukayo Saka gives you that defensive work as well. And if you want to press, he can press. If you want him to drop off and tuck into more defensive positions, he can do that too. His tactical awareness for somebody of his age is just unreal. And I think he's a real asset to this England side. Of course, he went to the Euros, and of course he missed that vital penalty in the final against Italy. And many players would have crumbled after something like that. Many players would have struggled to bounce back, but Bukayo Saka has been the opposite. Instead, he's taken it on, he's matured, and he's now a much better player than he was, all that time ago. So you've got an all-round complete winger in Bukayo Saka who's in form, who's feeling good, and who could bring so much to this England team. I know there are lots of forwards in that England squad that you could consider and you could make a case for. And I think outside of Harry Kane, the other 2 positions, I guess, are up for grabs in a lot of people's eyes. But in my eyes, Bukayo Saka is nailed on for that right wing position. And then it's the left wing, I guess, that England have to decide on. But Bukayo Saka has to play.
Front, of course, it will be Harry Kane, England's talisman. Without his goals, we won't really get anywhere in this tournament. We need Kane to be firing on all cylinders for us to progress anywhere in this tournament. Just like he was in Russia, of course, he won the Golden Boot there. There's a good chance, I think, he can win it again. He's probably an outsider for the Golden Boot bet, if I'm being honest, but I think he is worth a cheeky £5 or £2. I'll definitely be sticking some money on him. He might bag a couple against Iran. Like I said, he is the main focal point in this team. I can't see anybody giving me a logical reason as to why Callum Wilson should start ahead of Harry Kane. Now, don't get me wrong, Callum Wilson is a very, very good backup and is in great form. He's done fantastic for Newcastle this season. But will he start in front of Kane? No chance. Maybe in the final group game if we're already through, but I don't even think, even then you'll want Kane to be on the pitch to try and win the Golden Boot again. But what is it? 51 goals in 75 England appearances. That's just over a goal every 1.5 games. The guy is like I said, the main point in this England team, and we need him firing on all cylinders if we are going to get anywhere in this tournament. We need him scoring goals, definitely. We need him starting as well. So yeah, Harry Kane up front. And just a side note, Harry Kane could become England's leading all-time goal scorer in this tournament, and I think he probably will do.
Yes, people. I just want to say, first and foremost, big up FansBet. They've selected me, for the left wing spot for this England team. This is going to get kind of techie still. You know why? Because there's only one left winger that can start for England. He don't play for Liverpool. He plays for our rivals. Phil Foden. The guy's serious. Let's be real. Like, whether I support Liverpool or not, you can't deny the man's class. His talent. Taking his game to a new level. What is it? 7 goals, I think, in the Premier he's got now. 1 assist, I think. Oh, no, 3 assists, I think he has. Apologies. Do you know what I mean? In 14 games. Phil Foden's taking his game to the next level. And people might say, yeah, it's Man City, it's Man City. That's true. But I think for England to succeed, Phil Foden has to play. And he has to play at the highest level. I think England's formation suits him as well. Him playing on that left-hand side when you've got the wing-back covering him as well, he can now do some damage. Obviously, Kane doing the false 9 thing as well. So, yeah, man, Foden, there's only going to be one winner for that position, innit? And it's Phil, innit? He's the guy. He's the truth. Like I said before, he might play for Man City, but he's an England player and he's class. Phil Foden's the truth, man. England do well. Foden's about that life. Trust me.
So there you have it, people. The combined England starting 11. Make sure, guys, in the comment section, you let us know if there's any changes you would make. Would you have someone else in certain position? Let us know in the comment section below. But also, make sure you check out everyone's channel. Go and follow them. Go and give them a subscribe. But most importantly, guys, like this video, subscribe to this channel. And until we see you next time, take care.